We all know that cancer is one of the most dangerous and frightening diseases in the world today. But what if I told you that your diet and lifestyle could play a bigger role in preventing cancer than you think? It might sound too good to be true, but today, I am going to give you some scientific insights that might make you rethink how you eat and live every single day.
Sure, you've probably heard of factors like genetics and the environment when it comes to cancer. But have you ever thought about how one of the biggest risk factors could be something that's entirely in your control? This is the theory being pushed by Dr. Jason Fung, a Canadian doctor who's an expert in metabolic diseases and has done groundbreaking research into the links between diet, metabolism, and cancer.
Today, I'm going to share with you his discoveries, things that could change the way you approach both your health and cancer prevention.
Dr. Fung has conducted revolutionary research that sheds new light on cancer and metabolic diseases. He argues that cancer is not just a genetic disease, it's closely related to our diet and lifestyle. One of the biggest things he emphasizes is the role of insulin and glucose, two essential elements in the body. But when not properly managed, they can be dangerously harmful.
According to Dr. Fung, cancer cells depend on glucose as their primary fuel source. And when we eat foods that increase glucose and insulin levels in the body, we're essentially feeding cancer cells. Sounds scary, right? But don't worry, we're not here just to talk about the problem.
In this video, I'm going to share not only the foods we should avoid to reduce cancer risk, but also how we can adjust our diets to protect ourselves in the most effective way. Cancer and its link to obesity. Before we dive into specific foods, let's rewind a bit and talk about how cancer develops in the body.
Back in the 90s, when I was in medical school, we were taught that cancer was primarily a genetic disease. But in 2003, something surprising happened. New research showed that cancer is actually closely tied to obesity.
It's a fact that few people really understand, but it plays a massive role in cancer prevention and treatment.
Obesity, particularly excess belly fat, visceral fat, creates a pro-inflammatory environment in the body which accelerates cancer development. Excess fat increases estrogen levels, which provides a fertile ground for cancer cells to grow.
What's more, Dr. Fung points out that insulin, a hormone that regulates blood sugar, is a major growth factor for cancer cells. When our bodies produce too much insulin, we create an environment where cancer cells can thrive and multiply.
That's why people who are obese, have diabetes, or suffer from insulin resistance tend to have much higher rates of cancers like breast, colon, and pancreatic cancer. The worst foods that feed cancer cells. Know that we understand the connection between obesity, insulin, and cancer. Let's talk about the foods that Dr. Fung's research shows are directly linked to fueling cancer cells.
These are the foods you really need to avoid if you want to lower your cancer risk. 1. Sugar is by far one of the worst foods for fueling cancer. Why?
Because cancer cells thrive on glucose. And when you eat sugar, you're essentially giving them fuel.
But that's not all. Sugar doesn't just raise glucose levels in the blood, it also spikes insulin levels.
And as we've already seen, insulin acts as a growth factor for cancer cells. So when you consume too much sugar, you're creating a perfect environment for cancer to grow. But don't worry, you don't have to eliminate sweetness from your life entirely.
Instead of sugar, try natural sweeteners like stevia or monk fruit, which don't spike insulin levels and have a much lower glycemic index. 2. Refined carbohydrates are. You've eaten foods like white bread, pasta, or processed snacks, things that are made from refined carbohydrates.
These carbs are quickly converted into glucose in the body, which leads to rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin. And just like sugar, these spikes provide the perfect fuel for cancer cells. But it's not all bad news. You can replace refined carbs with whole, nutrient-dense foods. Instead of white bread, opt for whole grains. Instead of processed snacks, go for vegetables and fruits with low glycemic indices. These foods provide slow, steady energy without causing insulin and glucose levels to surge. 3. High glycemic foods. Similar to refined carbohydrates, high glycemic foods like sugary cereals, pastries, and processed snacks cause rapid glucose spikes, which trigger insulin production and promote cancer cell growth. So, what should you eat instead? Look for low glycemic foods like leafy greens, berries, and nuts. These foods help keep blood sugar and insulin levels stable and are packed with cancer-fighting nutrients.
4. Processed meats. We've all had our fair share of sausages, bacon, and deli meats. But processed meats aren't just high in unhealthy fats, they also contain harmful additives like nitrates and nitrites, which have been linked to cancer. The way these meats are processed creates carcinogenic compounds that fuel cancer development. For example, nitrosamines, which are formed when nitrates react with proteins under high heat, are potent carcinogens that damage DNA and promote cancer. This doesn't mean you have to completely avoid meat, but try to choose healthier options like grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, and organic poultry. These are free from harmful additives and are less likely to spike your insulin levels. 5. Processed fats, especially those rich in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats, can trigger inflammation in the body, a key factor in cancer development. Chronic inflammation creates an environment that allows cancer cells to thrive. In fact, research has shown that a diet high in omega-6 fats, such as those found in vegetable oils, is linked to increased cancer risk, particularly breast, prostate, and colon cancer. Instead of processed vegetable oils, try using extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, which are rich in healthy monounsaturated fats and antioxidants. These oils have been shown to reduce inflammation and protect against several types of cancer. Next steps: how to change your diet to lower cancer risk. So, how can we adjust our diets to reduce cancer risk? First, avoid the foods I just mentioned: sugar, refined carbs, high glycemic foods, processed meats, and processed fats. Instead, focus on nutrient-rich, whole foods like leafy greens, fruits, nuts, and healthy fats like olive oil and avocado. Additionally, incorporating intermittent fasting into your routine can be a game changer for reducing cancer risk. Intermittent fasting helps lower insulin levels and encourages the body to regenerate healthy cells through a process called autophagy, where the body cleans out damaged cells. The key takeaway: can't control everything when it comes to cancer, but we can control what we put into our bodies. By making small changes to our diet and lifestyle, we can significantly reduce our cancer risk and lead healthier lives. Start today by choosing healthier foods, cutting back on processed junk, and making sure to incorporate more plant-based, whole foods into your meals. Your body is your best ally, and it's time to start taking care of it.